In Activity 4, Making Circles, students explore the concepts of radius and diameter. They first practice making circles with a drawing compass, and then measure and draw circles of different sizes. Students will apply this skill in a later activity when they construct models of the planets. You'll need the following materials from the kit: the Activity Sheet 4, cardboard squares, drawing compasses, metric rulers, 1 meter stick, a roll of string, and a roll of masking tape. You'll also need to provide a piece of chalk or whiteboard marker, 8.5 by 11 sheets of plain paper, and scissors. To prepare for the activity, make a copy of Activity Sheet 4 for each student. Cut a 30-centimeter length of string and tie a loop in one end large enough to accommodate a piece of chalk or marker. You'll use chalk and this piece of string to draw circles on the board during this activity. Each team of 2 will need their circle and ellipse papers from Activity 3, a piece of cardboard, 2 clean sheets of plain paper, a drawing compass, a metric ruler, and access to the masking tape. Remember to caution students to handle the compass carefully and keep their point away from their eyes. To begin the activity, remind students of how they drew a circle in Activity 3 using a pushpin, a string loop, and a pencil. Then demonstrate for the class how to draw a circle by placing a piece of chalk through the loop at one end of the 30-centimeter string and holding the other end of the string with the finger of one hand. With your other hand, stretch the string taut and draw a circle with the chalk or a marker. Put a dot where your finger was at the center of the circle and ask students, "What is the name of this point?" Students should recall that the center of the circle is called the focus. Label the dot Focus. Then trace the curve of the circle on the board with your finger and ask students, "Do you know what this part of the circle is called?" Introduce the term circumference to the class as the length of the closed curve of a circle. Then label the circumference on the board. Use the meter stick to draw a radius on the circle. Label it radius, and explain that a radius is the distance from the focus to the circumference of the circle. Using the string and chalk, demonstrate that the radius will always be the same length when measured in any direction from the focus to any point of the circumference. Guide students to understand that a smaller circle will have a smaller radius. To illustrate this concept, draw a smaller circle by shortening the length of string. Explain to students that the length of the radius of a circle is one measure of the size of that circle. Next, lay the meter stick along the radius of the first larger circle and extend the radius to draw a diameter. Define diameter for the class as the distance from the circumference of the circle through the focus and then all the way to the circumference on the other side. Label the diameter and then draw several diameters from different points on the circumference to demonstrate that all diameters of the same circle are all the same length. Ask students, do you think the smaller circle has a smaller or larger diameter than the first circle? The students should observe that the smaller circle has a smaller diameter. Make sure to point out that the diameter, like the radius, is one measure of the size of that circle. Next, distribute a ruler and a cardboard square to each team and Activity Sheet 4 to each student. Have students retrieve their circle and ellipse papers from Activity 3 and then tell students to answer the first 2 questions on Activity Sheet 4. Remind students to measure only the circles and to record their measurements. After students have answered the first 2 questions on their activity sheets, hold up a drawing compass for the class. Explain that a drawing compass is an instrument that can be used to draw a circle. Then demonstrate how to use the drawing compass. First, tape a clean sheet of paper onto a cardboard square. Then, using a metric ruler, measure to find the center point of the paper. Make a dot and label this dot C. Inform students that you want to draw a circle with a radius of 5 centimeters and show them 5 centimeters on the ruler. Then adjust the arms of the compass until the distance from the metal point of the compass to the pencil tip measures 5 centimeters. The instrument will maintain this measurement. To demonstrate making a circle for the class, stick the metal point into the dot C on the paper. Grasp the top of the compass and rotate the pencil arm to draw a circle. Distribute a drawing compass and 2 clean sheets of paper to each team and have them complete Activity Sheet 4. Tell students that for the purpose of this activity, they can ignore the measurement markings on the compass itself. Instruct students to measure the radius and diameter of the circles they drew in the previous activity. After teams have finished measuring and drawing circles, lead a discussion about the sizes of the circles they drew. Help students see that a radius is half the length of a diameter of a circle, and that a diameter is twice the length of a radius. Ask students, how did you change the size of your circles? Students should respond that they changed the size of their circles by changing the length of the radius. Review with the class previous activities in which students learned that the sun and its satellites are shaped like huge balls or circles of various sizes. Ask students, how could being able to draw different sized circles help you represent different planets in the solar system? Responses may vary, but some students may suggest that different sized circles could represent planets of different sizes. Let students know that in a later activity, they'll measure and draw circles of different sizes and then cut the circles out to make models of the planets in our solar system. To conclude the activity, have teams carefully remove their papers from the cardboard and discard the pieces of masking tape. Instruct students to write their names on the papers and keep them together with their papers entitled Circle and Ellipse, and return all items to the kid. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science Reader, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.